injected you and it's working, and whether you're a member of ODM or not. Should the younger people now start to think of how to close ranks with the political class in order to then be the ones to take over power? Because the reason why I'm asking this conversation is the president himself said that he will continue to reach out to Kenyans from all walks of life, regardless of their ideological persuasion, to maximize cross-pollination of the flower of our republic and ensure robust seeds for the future seasons.
Trevor, I think I've said this time without number, and I'm a person who does not hide any of the moves that I make. Whenever we were on the streets agitating for good governance, the war on graft and accountability in government, I went all out. Then when I realized that there were some sinister machinations with some of the people who are on the front lines being super obsessed with grant writing and fundraising, chanting down with American imperialism by day, at night going to have meetings at the embassy, everybody chanting Ruto must go in the morning, and in the evening trying to secure appointments with the state, I realized that we're dealing with a political problem. And this is where now I would like to put every political party that is on this table to the light. Because if I start with, for example, the Jubilee Party is a party that was formed when I was in first year. I've never seen any solid grounding in terms of ideology from that party. And it was, if you think about it critically, formed as a special purpose vehicle, just like UDA, to win an election. If you think about Inject, it came at a time when we had agreed that we were supposed to just keep this as a movement. But then a man who once went on record asking us, what do we mean by Ruto must go, comes along and whips up the public's emotions, sources for funds, some from dubious sources, and because it has to be justified in the public, culminates into a party which lacks ideology, a party which founding members and strong members have come out to castigate, to say that the party leader is serving nothing but self-interests. And this is something that we had seen prior. And this is why there are reasons why I could not work with such a party, because you find there's a party where a man has just shown up, and then the party chair is his classmate, then he's just surrounded by a few men with dubious characters. And the problem with people like Morara is, you know, because he thinks he's a carpenter, is closer to Christ. If you think about UDA, which was also a special purpose vehicle to win an election, has no grounding in ideology. So I sat down and analyzed in the political sphere, because remember, I used to lead an organization that was called the NCCPA, that had 67 organizations, had social justice centers, had some political parties in there, but with a realization that there are people who are just committed to empty sloganeering. Amilcar Cabral says, we cannot do away with imperialism by hurling insults at it. We will not deal with President Ruto. We will not ensure he leaves office by chanting Ruto must go. We have to organize. And I looked at this political scene when I said it categorically that for me now I'm taking a political angle. And I wanted to join a party that had grounding, that had stood the test of time. In a country that is littered with epitaphs of unmarked graves of opposition parties that have not survived the test of time, I looked for a party that aligned with my values. And the ODM party is a center-left social democratic party, which quite aligned with what I was looking for. Constitutional reforms in this country have been driven by the ODM. Electoral reforms have been driven by my party leader. There's no single individual who has tested election laws as much as my party leader, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, has. The opposition of the Finance Act, which members from the Jubilee party as well participated, were driven by the ODM as well. The push for devolution support, because remember, yes, while we talk about devolution and say that it has its own weaknesses and the bloated government, it also ensures that we do not have state capture, as we've seen this year, where the executive and legislature want to capture development and everybody. So it seems as though devolution is not working, and we know why we got devolution. And if we think about justice for the victims of police brutality, we think about Baby Pendo. We think about the people we've lost. The Orange Democratic Movement has consistently been at the forefront of fighting for these issues. If you're thinking about youth empowerment and policies, seeking to address unemployment and these policies, the ODM has these things. And it does not have them just as a manifesto because it has not yet managed to capture state power, but it has consistently proven and sponsored bills in parliament through to look for these things.
So is it time that the younger people meet the president?
Yes, if you think about food and economic security, if you think about human rights and advocacy, that is why I looked at this thing and said, I will take a political angle. And this was an agreement by several young people. That's why you find these political parties can exist in this particular atmosphere. The thing that we kind of missed out on, the political class only decided to address itself. And this is us reintroducing ourselves to them. While I might find fault with all these political parties, we know now that if we need to have a conversation with President Ruto because he refuses to listen to us as ordinary citizens, he will listen to Morara as a party leader. We listen to Angie as a leader of youth. Yes, and to his policy advice, I hope that he actually listens. We must continue to find sustainable ways to do this because we cannot keep on donating our bodies to the street so that people come and perform capture harvest. If we think about it in that particular way, we have to, if we indeed intend to cause a political seismic shift in this country, we must involve ourselves in the politics. Okay. It might not be popular, these might not be popular decisions, but I keep on telling people, if you look for a party that works for you. Yeah. Arnold has found one, Morara has one, Angie has one, but if you're looking for a progressive, pro-people movement that has consistently fought for the rights and basic human dignity of the people, you can only find it in the Orange Democratic Movement. Okay.
Yes, let me just say this. My brother Kasmuel has said that, well, sometimes I think because I'm a carpenter, I'm closer to Christ. And it will not be further from the truth. I am indeed close to Christ. But you see, the problem with our friend Kasmuel is that he thinks that because Akili ni nywele and he has a lot of it, then he knows more. The truth is that whatever he is doing at ODM is something I did there 7 years ago. I was a youth leader in ODM when I was 22 years old.
Prove it, because this is just hearsay.
I even have a picture I'm going to show you right now. Just right now, not later. I was in ODM together with Kenababu Owino a long time ago. In fact, I remember at that time, I spent some of my help money to pay for a premium membership. I remember it was Kenya shillings 20,000. I had a lot of hope in ODM. I believed in it. My parents have supported ODM. I was at ODM at some point, so whatever he's doing now is something I did 7 years ago. So in terms of experience, political experience, I'm 7 years ahead of him, and I can give him a little bit of education about what happens in ODM. The first thing I'm going to tell him is one of the reasons we have corruption in Kenya is because there is corruption in political parties. Because when you sell tickets to candidates at a cost of 10 million to be a member of parliament, the first thing this person, when he becomes a member of parliament, will do will be to recover the money that they have spent.
I want us to stay away from hearsay because
now we are wondering.
All right. Now then can the younger people organize?
Let's go into
so that
because we could also say the same of inject. Because
let's do it.
Let me ask this question: which are some of the most corrupt counties in Kenya in terms of the corruption index? Wastage of public funds, because corruption is not only in the UDA government.
The EACC has investigating all the counties.
Yes. The corruption
come back to how the young people organize to take power. You have started your own party.
Let me just finish on my point.
To meet the president
corruption is also. Do we agree that there is corruption in ODM counties?
In all counties.
We agree there's corruption in inject as well. We've seen
actually corruption is a Kenyan problem.
Yes, said that
in your own party, which is supposed to be revolutionary.
Let's come back to the main members. The main idea is
how do the young
people organize
so that you
to participate,
make a change in
to participate either in leadership or to take power. Definitely, joining the mainstream political parties is not the way. Okay. Because when we went for the Gen Z protests, we were denying or we were rejecting the old order of things, where there is mainstreamed corruption in our government, assisted by political parties, which they themselves have become corrupt within their ranks and encourage corruption and tokenism. So the best way would have been to run a movement based on new values based on the new Kenya that we want to see as young people and the future that we want. Now, most of the political parties in Kenya, and this you'll agree with me, are actually ethnic-based. So you'll find there's a political party in Kenya for the people of Western, all right, like ANC and Ford Kenya. You'll find that there's a political party which most of its support comes from, like, he joined ODM because he's from that ethnic community. They want to hold meetings in Doluo. So that is why he thought it wise to join ODM party.
The highest membership of ODM is from the Western region, but that's not the answer.
Yeah. So
anyway, that's a different
because of that,
if you come back, throw a jump, make it
have are ethnic. We are discussing political parties. Let me make my point slowly, because this is a new thing I'm introducing, so you'll not understand it. You're interrupting me because you're thinking the old way. I'm teaching you to think the new way. The old political parties have been based on ethnic communities. Now, one of the biggest problems we have in governance today in Kenya and in corruption is ethnicity and negative tribalism, where when someone steals money meant for a public road or a hospital, they run back to their tribal base and say, we are being targeted because we are Kikuyus. Hawa wanatuonea kwa sababu sisi ni Waluya. This is not about me, it is about sisi Wakamba kuwa targeted. So we need to do away with negative ethnicity. We just need to celebrate ethnicity as part of our identity, but it should not be a reason why we make political decisions. Now, the people who can lead the way in ending negative ethnicity in Kenya are the young people. And the reason the young people are the best candidates for that is because the young people, most of them have studied and have been exposed outside their counties. So you study in primary school where you were born, but you'd go maybe to high school in Machakos or in Western. Most of them have actually married or are dating girlfriends that are not from their ethnic communities. Some of them are a benefit of intermarriages across communities. You'll find your father is Luo, but your mother is from Kamba. So it is harder to sell tribalism to the young people of Kenya than it is to sell to our parents. That's why when we went for the Gen Z demonstrations, we said categorically, we are not our parents. So the best way for young leaders, because now we are talking about young people, these young people are going to be organized by young leaders like myself. The best way to do it is to form political parties that are not based on ethnicity, to form political parties that are nationwide.
Completely new.
The Secretary General of the Inject Party, he talks about the Inject Party not having an ideology. The Inject Party has an ideology. We have a party constitution. We have a party slogan saying, tunaamini itabadilika. We believe that it will change. If you look at our policy, if you look at Article 2.3 of the Inject Party Constitution. Number 1 is to fight corruption. Number 2 is economic transformation. Number 3 is civic empowerment. Number 4, institutional reform. Number 5, environmental sustainability. Number 6 is justice.
But those are points.
Those are ideologies of our party.
Now, social studies textbook has that.
They might have it in writing. We have it at heart. My Secretary General at Inject Party is a Maasai. It's called Solonka Pareno.
Was he or was he not your classmate?
The person who is in charge, look, Orengo was with Raila.
That's what we are saying. What
is wrong with working with my classmate?
Yes, then what is wrong
if I trust him enough to work with him, it's exceptional. It's beautiful. How many classmates are working together?
We don't have a problem with you working with
the Secretary General.
But you blaming other people for doing the exact thing you're doing, is that what we have?
I've not blamed Raila for working with his classmates.
Yes. No.
I'm blaming him for taking advantage of the Gen Z demonstration, riding on the blood of the youth who have died to benefit himself economically and have positions in government.
You know, you've taken this thing where you want to legitimize your part of the struggle with blood. That's why you would lead people against the popular temper. For example, you took your people to Narok where only you were not hurt, but your teammates were hurt. So you want to legitimize your struggle thinking it deserves blood. And we keep on telling you that if you're trying to transform it...
So the only way I become part of my team is if I'm hurt.
No, you're not listening.
Come on,
if you want to truly transform this country, you have to be absolutely honest in your dealings, because the thing which you're doing is trying to, and there's this narrative that you've been trying to see where you're driving sympathy or you're driving, I do not have a problem with you changing campaign financing, I do not have a problem with you unearthing projects. What I have a problem with is you trying to pull certain stunts to try and whip up emotion, because the new thing which you're trying to drive and which even your founding members...
Let me agree with you.
Yes, even your founding members...
If you have a part of this,
can we also be part and parcel of this conversation? Because you asked the question and it's ended up being a Morara versus Kasmo.
So they need to meet in parliament.
No, sorry to Arnold. You are not sorry. I'm not. To Arnold, I'm sorry.
Wait. So quickly, Trevor, let me say this. You ask a very important question. And